So, 1964 was Jeff's toughest title battle, but he also remembers that season for something quite different, an almost supernatural experience that he still can't explain.
It was quite startling, and it was during the Luxembourg Grand Prix. Tiblin was leading, and he'd actually gone out of sight. I couldn't see him, which is a bad thing. You always want some visual contact with the guy you're trying to hunt down. And I came round a hairpin and then along a straight, and a guy stepped out who looked just like Rennie Barton, who'd been killed at least 7 or 8 years before, stepped out and gave me the thumbs up, and then was gone. And I went round the next corner, and here's Tiblin. His gas tank had actually fallen off, and I mean, that stuck in my memory. I all the way around I kept thinking, I can't believe it. Rennie Barton steps out and gives me the thumbs up, and here's Tiblin with his gas tank falling off.
By 1996, however, even supernatural help couldn't take BSA and Jeff to a world title hat-trick. The big two-strokes were coming on strong. In particular, the Czechoslovakian CZ, with its East German rider Paul Friedrichs.
He suddenly appeared so that you noticed him. I mean, people only appear when they get in your way. I mean, if a guy's in front of you or he's very close to you and you can't shake him off, then you think, who the hell is that guy? And you find out who he is. And Friedrichs appeared at the Finnish Grand Prix in 1965. I set off, and it was a sandy circuit, and that was my favourite kind of riding. And so I set off confidently, blasting away through the deep sand and around this track. And about the half distance, I look round, and here's a guy sort of hanging on about 75 yards behind, and I thought, well, I'll just burn him away, I'll blow him off. So I went faster. And the next time when I could see wherever he was still the same distance away. And I thought, who in the hell is this guy? I can't shake him off. And I'm sitting far ahead of the race. And so I shut off, and I made him come past me. So I could see, but once he was in front, he didn't know what to do. But as long as you were pulling him along, he would sit there. And so I watched him flounder around a bit, and then passed him and went on and won. And then in the second race, it was exactly the same. You know, here I am, gone far away, except for this one guy who's 75 yards behind, somehow fighting his way along. And that was, I came in after the second race. I said, who the hell is that guy? And it was Friedrichs, Paul Friedrichs. And of course, the very next year, he won the World Championship. That next year, 1966, BSA, going into the winter, initiated a program to build a machine that became known as the Titan. It was the titanium BSA. And we knew in the competition department that it takes a year to develop a race machine, sometimes longer, but a year is a normal development program, so that you build a special machine and then you race with it the next year, and it comes right about the end of the next year. That's when you've worked all the bugs out of it. If you go too far, or if you're quite radical and a lot of new thinking goes into it. But the engineers from BSA were certain that they could design this titanium motorcycle. I mean, and they were overwhelmingly confident, and we were only mechanical bums in the competition department, and so they said, no, we're going to make this titanium frame. We're going to forge and turn and grind titanium, and everything's going to be wonderful, and you're going to have a bicycle that's half the weight, and it's going to have all kinds of innovative ideas in it, disc brakes at each end, hydraulic disc at each end, titanium frame, titanium springs even. I mean, this was unbelievable exercise in spending money, and somewhat of an exercise in futility, because so many things eventually we had to throw away because they didn't work. The very first thing we threw away was the swinging arm, because it turns out that titanium has twice the modulus of elasticity of steel, which means it's twice as elastic. And so the swinging arm, you'd come around a corner with and it would just go like that, and then it would go, whoa, straighten itself up, and oh. And so, and then we threw the disc brakes off, because they had the curious property of stopping the wheel. And that's not what you want brakes to do. You don't want brakes to stop the wheel, you want them to slow down the wheel. And so they were either on or off, and so the brakes had to go. And all good ideas, but they needed so much more refinement than what we had time to do. And we had a GP carburetor on that engine as well, and on the brake it looked wonderful, but the GP, a cloud goes across the sun and now you've got to rejet the bloody thing. And so the titanium project was not a success. There were some very good items came out of it. The B50 engine came out of it, and I still have two of the early B50s with magnesium crankcases, and the Reynolds 531 tubing frames, and many of the titanium bits from the original titanium machine. And those bicycles, I have one in England and I have one here in the US, and both of them weigh 205 pounds with a gallon of gas, ready to race.